Hi and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me again. So today I am responding to a few requests actually, that I've had since, directly as a result of my review of the Alice in Chains 30th anniversary edition of their album Dirt. And I'll put a link up here to that original review. Please do check that out if you haven't already seen it. Now, in that I compared, and here we go, this is my 30th anniversary version, and as you can see, it is the, to quote them, limited edition opaque yellow vinyl version. Okay, and I compared that to my, let me just get it out. I compared it to this, which is my 1992 original. And as you can see, it's, I mean, they're both mint, frankly. And I concluded in that first video, which, do by all means go and check it out if you haven't, but I'll put a link to it below as well. I concluded that the 30th anniversary really is better than the original by some margin, frankly. And this is my favourite Alice in Chains album, possibly after Unplugged. But in terms of their studio albums, there's no question this is my favourite. So, for not very much money, an incredibly awesome 30th anniversary issue, basically. This is selling for £200 to £300. I mean, this one's mint. I expect it to get probably £250, £300. So, frankly, I need to get on and sell it, to be honest. Funds are tight. But anyway, I did mention in the in that original review that I had, before getting this, I had, excuse me, let me just put that up there. I had this one, and then in 2009, I bought the music on vinyl version, and 2 or 3 questions from viewers were relating to this, and how did the new version compare to the music on vinyl? Because obviously it's the music on vinyl that they've got, because you can pick up the music on vinyl for between, I don't know, 30 and 50 quid, say, probably. And I was going on memory. Now, I got rid of the music on vinyl. I actually gave it to my son, because at the time I preferred the original. In response to many requests, I would say most notably, and I will give a shout out to 2 of my viewers, Austin Hunt and Lathe of Heaven, who should win the prize for the most persistent, but not annoyingly, I have to say. I welcome feedback. I really do. Positive feedback, certainly. Lathe of Heaven wins the award for persistence, and really wanted to know the full shootout results. Now, I haven't got the other records here because my son isn't here, but he did visit last weekend, and I'll just insert now a picture of here we are, there's me and my son Alex, and he brought along his music on vinyl, and his 30th anniversary. Now he got a black one, so a regular issue, and we went through and we did a 4-way comparison, and that was really interesting. So just to really run through that. Now, I will give you the matrix numbers, because I'm sure some of you really want to know all this stuff, because this is getting into even more nitty-gritty detail than the first one. So my original, as I say, it's a 1992 European original. The matrix numbers are 01-472330-20-1A-1. The B-side is the same, except with the 1B-1 suffix. The music on vinyl is the matrix numbers are 85353 1A MOV LP 037 and 85353 MOV LP 037. Basically, if you go on Discogs, that's variant 1 of the 2009 UK and Europe issue of the Music on Vinyl. The 30th anniversaries. Now this was particularly interesting. This is my yellow one. The numbers are MRP 3599 /194399535541-A, and then -B, -C, -D. Accordingly for each side, and then the matrix numbers, stamper, presses, whatever. 243284 on all of the 4 sides, and then basically E1D, E2B, E3C, and E4B for the 4 different sides respectively. Now the interesting thing, my son's black one, same great big long numbers exactly, and the kind of the matrix numbers, pressing number, whatever, 243284 E1D. So side 1 is the exact same plate, stamper. E2C, so that's side 2. So that's 1 stamper further down, if you like. E3C, that's the same stamper. E4B, that's the same stamper. So apart from side 2, the black and the yellow are actually from the same stampers. So that really was interesting. Interesting to know, very, very interesting to know. Now, I'll get on to the listening. So basically, yeah. So start off, we played the original first, and it sounded really good. I mean, it does. It's a phenomenal album. It sounded really, really, really good. But I think, as I said in my first video, it's sort of slightly disappointing in comparison with the CD, and I think really it's because it's a long album and they've crammed it onto one disc. If you look at the, there's a lot of groove on that record, if you like. And I think it's, I think the fact that they've put it over a double album on the reissue is a notable and significant upgrade. But that's let's get back to the 4-way test. So we listened to the OG. So that was our reference point, if you like. So we thought it was very good. Then we put on the music on vinyl. Now, immediately it was apparent that the music on vinyl had much more weight, more kind of slam, more presence, if you like. But then on a sort of slightly extended listen, actually it became kind of apparent that it was more compressed and the bass wasn't as defined. So really, the music on vinyl, it swings and roundabouts. I wouldn't like. I preferred the original, hence keeping that and giving the music on vinyl to my son. But neither are bad. The music on vinyl is slightly more kind of present, slightly more powerful sounding. Excuse me, but it is all a little bit flat, if you like, sort of compressed, like everything's loud. And the bass is not as defined. It's got more weight to it, but it's not as agile. And again, I think that the original wins out there. But it's more differences than one is outright better than the other. But then we got on to the 30th anniversary. And frankly, I mean, the soundstage suddenly opens right up. I mean, it's much, much bigger, much more open, much more separation between every element, and much more kind of dynamic and loudness shade. So dynamic contrast, texture in the bass, weight, contrast, just everything. I mean, in every single way, I think the 30th anniversary, this yellow, well, the 30th anniversary, okay, we started going with this one first. Sounded better than either. So yeah, that's where we are here. But now this is where the interesting thing started. So as I say, my son brought his black one along, which I was interested to hear, particularly because I've the jury is out with me as to whether coloured vinyl makes much difference, either as a benefit or as degradation, really. So it was really interesting to hear. So the sound quality difference between the yellow one, this one, and the other one, and it was only subsequently actually that I looked them up and discovered that they're actually the same matrix numbers, all but one side. And it was really interesting. And I would say that if anything, and we're talking, I'd say, the difference between 95% and 100% here, it's not, if this was 80% and the music on vinyl was 75% maybe, although they were very different, this would be 95 or 100. It's there's no question it's better. But I would swear, and my son actually felt the same, that this one had, if anything, just the slightest bit more texture in the bass and the slightest bit more kind of sweetness in the top end. The black one was maybe just a little bit more kind of blobby, if you like, in the bass. It was actually more in what you could sort of feel. I could actually feel the sort of the resonant. You can feel my body resonating, frankly, with the bass. Very much slightly more in the yellow one than the black one. And I mean, it's it was one of those. If you'd done it was such a small difference. But we're talking, I don't know, 95 to 100% either way for the yellow and the black ones. It could literally be a case of I've cleaned mine more times than he's cleaned his, or whatever. It was that nature of tiny differences. You would be more than happy with either one. But it was interesting that if there was any difference at all, it was very, very slightly in favour of the yellow one for slightly more kind of detail and texture in the bass and a slightly more sweetness at the top. But in terms of the music on vinyl versus the original, I would say about equal in quality if you were going to give them a score. In a way, the music on vinyl kind of sounds more like the CD because it's got a bit more slam and weight to it. But the original, this one here, definitely had more agility through the bass and more kind of, nowhere near the dynamic kind of range and contrast of the reissue, but more than the music on vinyl. So there we go. It doesn't really change my opinion, but I've added in the detail of, frankly, two other versions. So, from my experience, go out and buy the 30th anniversary, and also from my experience, it really doesn't matter what colour you get. Certainly between the yellow and the black one, almost imperceptible differences, and interesting that they come from the same plates. So, there we go. I hope that was helpful, especially to Lathe of Heaven and Austin Hunt. Thanks again for your questions, guys. And I look forward to seeing you all soon. Thanks a lot. Bye now. Bye.